Good morning to everyone. Today, we talk about the capabilities that your business and your people need in order for you to play to win. But first, let me explain capabilities. It's something that a person or a machine or a tool is able to do. A qualified chef has the ability to cook really good food. Being qualified gives him or her the license and label, so to speak, to cook gourmet or specialty food. A computer that's working and that is programmed to open a specific file has the required capability to perform the function of actually opening that file. We can learn a lot from nature regarding capable and functional teams. Ian Thomas, author of the best-selling book Power of the Pride, explains in his book how a pride of lions represents a highly effective and very capable team. His book is all about how we can learn lessons from lions on how to create powerful business teams. He explains how powerful each individual in the pride is and that each one of them contributes to the success of a hunt. And they don't hunt any prey. They know what their capabilities are and they hunt what they know they are good at. Some lionesses that consistently hunt buffalo undergo actual physical changes. They develop strong chest muscles in order to wrestle the buffalo, and they also undergo mental changes to go after extremely dangerous prey. Not all of the lionesses hunt the buffalo. There might be one team member who's the only one that will hunt zebra, for instance. One of the other team members will have really good ears. They'll be drinking water, and all of a sudden, this lioness will hear something and will tweak her ears. The others will pick up on it and will immediately stop drinking. You see, they each have a unique role in the team, and they understand their roles very well. Their skills and capabilities are in line with the requirements that comes with doing the job extremely well. And you can only imagine, the goal is very clear. Ian continues saying that lions hunt because they're hungry. This hunger forces them to develop the ability to catch prey that is both mysterious and hard to catch. They operate on a 100% incentive scheme. If they're not successful in the hunt, they don't eat. If you're a business owner, which I believe you are, you will understand this concept very well. Lions that are not keeping up with the team and they don't participate in the hunt either don't eat or they get very little to eat. These passengers who's just tagging along and don't participate in the team dynamics will eventually starve to death. Ian explains a lot more in his book about each individual's role in the hunting process, which can be brought into practice from a business point of view. Even when training the youngsters, there is a flow and process that is being followed in order to ensure that the young hunters develop the right skills and capabilities to successfully hunt and to survive in the wild. As soon as the babies are strong enough, they start wrestling each other. Later on, as they grow, they start to accompany the hunting team on the hunt, but they don't hunt yet. They hide and observe. The first hunting attempts are normally a total disaster, but making mistakes are how they learn. They watch, they learn, and they try until they get it right. Ian Thomas reckons that the females are extremely good role models, in fact, superb role models, that the young lionesses can observe, imitate, and admire. The young males learn from the older pride males on how to secure the territory, making boundaries and roar to intimidate rivals. They learn everything about security and often witness brutal fights as territory is being defended against hostile intruders. They watch and learn and develop their own fighting skills in the process. Now, I don't know about you, but I am convinced that we simply need to look at nature and learn how to interact with people, and more so, how to do business effectively and constructively. How to deal with entering employees and new team members, and how the dynamics should work in order to develop powerful and highly effective teams. This is exactly what business capabilities mean. It means that you position yourself and your team members and ultimately your business to be highly effective and constructive in everything you do. So when we talk about the capabilities that need to be in place, we're looking very technically on how you function as a business, but more so as a team. So let's talk about objectives. What is the outcome that we want to keep in mind when we start talking and taking apart the business processes and the various capabilities that's needed in your business? First and foremost, it is important to keep your vision, mission, and values in mind. Plan all activities to be in line with your overall plan and strategy. Looking at your products and services, you need to make sure that the features and characteristics of your products and services are in line with the planned quality and the value that you as a business want to offer to your clients. Consider the intention and the various things that you do while you are servicing your clients. The last objective, but certainly not the least, is to critically look at your suppliers and the level of service and products they offer to you as business owner. These services and products need to be in line with the quality and level of service that you want to offer to your clients. Now, the best example is possibly that of delivery time. You promise your client that you will have a job done by a certain date, but you need to wait on your supplier to have the required stock on hand or delivered to you in time. Many times I've heard and I've seen this and I personally felt it, where the contractor or service provider overpromise and then underdeliver. In many cases, it's due because the supplier is not delivering on time, or the contractor or the service provider's planning was not done properly. You need to make sure that your supplier is up to scratch with the type and level of service you are delivering to your clients. So let's consider capabilities that your business need to have in place to be highly effective and constructive in your daily tasks and actions. You first need to know, what are you capable of? I say you, but what I mean is your business and your team as a whole. Define the various tasks and activities that you are doing daily. That includes logistics and admin, finance, operations, management, anything else in between. You want to make sure that you continuously improve on your service delivery and want to align every portion of your business to be highly effective. And you do that through business processes. Now you can track your performance and quality of service in order to fix processes that are not effective or functional. And also, you make sure that there are no passengers who's just tagging along for the ride, but that everyone on the team is doing his or her part. Making sure your processes throughout is consistent and that your team deliver a constant level of service and quality of product. You can map out all processes and train people to follow the process step by step. It sounds like a lot of work, but once it is done, you will notice a lot less errors and wastage and a lot more consistency and smooth processing. We'll look into this with more detail a little later. Quality control can only happen when you have something to measure quality by. You need to set a standard that is measurable and then create a tool by which job delivery can be measured. But we'll talk about this a little later as well. Now, there are on the market nowadays a lot of business automation software that can assist with job management and project delivery. This becomes important when your business is at the point where there are certain actions that can be automated, and these actions take up valuable time for a team member to perform. Yet you can free up time for that person to do something that requires unique skill and input. So let's look at all these capability items in more detail, and we'll start off with tracking and tracing. In the corporate world, the balanced scorecard is used to measure company performance. We're not a corporate, so we don't have to strictly follow this model in order to know how our business is faring. However, the questions this model is asking Makes a lot of sense, even for a micro business. And therefore, I want to highlight these questions. First up, how do our customers or clients see us? You can only measure it if you're tracking it, and you can track it by means of a survey. Having a 3 or 4 question survey ready at all times will help you to continuously track the customer's view of your business. There are a number of free survey creators on the net, and the most popular one probably is surveymonkey.com. There are paid versions of their products, but the free version is 100% efficient for what you want to do. With any survey, you want to keep in mind the quality of answers that you might be getting. And so you want to ask questions that will give you valuable and quality answers that will help you measure performance and help you make future decisions. The next question is, what must we excel at? Now, this makes you look inward to your people's and processes' abilities to deliver as per your defined quality and level of service. You can also ask the question this way: what do we need to do better in order to be the best? If you break down your business into the type of services and products that you offer, you will be able to identify which services you want to improve on. The third question: can we continue to improve and create value? Now, this has got to do with product and service innovation. You have to continuously check the market and technology. Check your rivals, but more so, think of ways to improve your services and the products or even tools that you're using to service your clients. You need to answer this question truthfully. And if it is somewhat of a no, then you need to start your market research and go and find opportunity to be more innovative. The last question: how do we look to shareholders? Now, you might be the only shareholder of your company, so be critical when you look at your financial statements. If this was not your business, would you have valued it high enough to have actually bought it? Finding the answers and solutions to these questions, you need to keep in mind that it needs to always be visible, measurable, and achievable, especially when you think of service innovation. You are only as good as your people and your processes. If you need to become more innovative, choose to go for options that is achievable. What you measure is what you get. If you cannot measure a process or a product or a service, and a person for that matter, you will not know what you're getting. And for the sake of interest, here's a corporate example of the balanced scorecard. Now, they have goals, and next to it is the way or the means by which they are measuring the goal. For example, if you look at the financial perspective, the one goal is to survive, and they're going to measure that by measuring their cash flow. So I promise to come back to process mapping. There are various processes in a business, and technically, all can be mapped. A process map is a graphical representation or document of how a specific process works. When you create a process map for all your processes, you set a standard by which these jobs and actions must be done and measured. Each block represents an action or a decision or a movement, and there are standard symbols for each point of action. Again, this doesn't have to be complicated, but it will most definitely give clarity of what needs to be done and in what order. It also helps a great deal when you start employing people or move them around in the business for them to quickly get a hang of the process and what they need to do to deliver on the job. Now, my list of processes at the top left is not extended, and you can basically think of any job that requires a sequence of actions and then put that into a graphical representation or then a process map. So process I've got here is sales process, maybe a customer or client retention process, or a production process. A service delivery process is something, if I was you, that's where I would start, is with my service delivery process. And then there's a purchasing process, a billing or an invoice process, and then a marketing process, a logistical process. You can think of it, anything that you can put in a sequence of things to do, you can actually put that in a map. Now, consistency in processes is the reason that continuous improvement works. That stability provides a foundation upon which to make improvements. The last capability I want to highlight is that of quality control. On the website investopedia.com, they describe quality control as a process through which a business seeks to ensure that product quality is maintained or improved. Quality control requires the company to create an environment in which both management and employees strive for perfection. The only way to create an environment where your team can strive for perfection is to build quality checks into your processes, which you are while you're servicing the client, installing the equipment or the system, and when the job is done. In fact, doing the quality check should be the last action of your job. Continuous quality checks will minimize errors and wastage of both time and material. The saying goes, prevention is better than cure. You can prevent a lot of mistakes and wastage by strategically implement quality control checks throughout your process. Now, Ian Thomas' message in his book, The Power of the Pride, is that high-performance teams are rare. There are many reasons for that. And one of it is that people don't have a good in-depth knowledge of the basic principles that separate superb and dysfunctional teams. So they grasp at quick fixes when often the team is only fixable over a period of time. Now, how lucky does that look? Lying around. Excuse the pun. I'd like to quote a portion of his website about dysfunctional teams, and I quote, "Many of the dysfunctions in teams are deeply embedded. For example, are incentives directly linked to results? Is the selection process rigorous? Does everyone have a crystal clear understanding of what the goal is? Many team members are unsure of what their real skills are and find that they are unsuited to the roles that they play. I come across many people in teams where the personal fire that comes from a passion for the work is missing. Unfortunately, this results in average performance, often with people only making the minimum contribution." Now, this one line's looking at the other one saying, so what you going to do? I'm asking you now, what is your next action? Ask yourself the 4 questions of the balanced scorecard. How do customers see us? What must we excel at? Can we continue to improve and create value? And how do we look to shareholders? Then, create maps for all your processes and build into it quality control checks throughout. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Linda, for this informative session. I believe there are no questions from the attendees. Steve, anything from your side? Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to click the button and just pick on somebody and say, what do they think? But it's Monday and I don't want to put anybody under pressure. But I think, Linda, I think, you hit the nail right on the head there when it comes to understanding principles. Take it back to Saturday, where there's a lot of questions with regards to the rugby in terms of was Frans Steyn the right choice at fly half, et cetera, et cetera. But I think, the key thing for me is that, sometimes we don't sit down with our employees, and ask them. And I think asking them in terms of, sharing the stick and listening and learning from employees in terms of where they need assistance and where they can also provide guidance to ourselves in terms of our business. Sometimes we look at it through blinkers and others see it in a different light. And I know in my time of being in business, it was about having that communication and having meetings where we can be honest and upfront and share our pros and cons. And through that learning process is identify individuals where we can empower them to be able to add that value. And in some cases, as businesses sometimes become lax, and we know that there's a shortcoming, but we don't address it and deal with it. And I think that that's the key for us, and even in terms of ourselves, is to look at ourselves and say, well, there's some things we love doing and some things that we really procrastinate and put off. And I think that, in order to do that, we've got to do a self-reflection and say, how can I do better? And I think that, as we see with the prides and everything else, is that everybody has their place and their role. And I think that you just need one individual to fall short and it collapses the whole team. So we need to look at it in terms of investing not only in systems, but also in terms of our people and growing our people and understand where they're going, where they fit in. Because again, a lot of times when I've been with businesses, a lot of individuals are not sure. It's just, no, I drive the truck and, I do this, but that's not part of my job. So I think it's investing in learning and having that processes in place. And the same thing with finances, as you've gone there, how do we evaluate each job in terms of what we do? Many years ago, I worked for a company that used to do an autopsy on every single job that we did. It was a whole day of sitting in the office and reflecting and going through job cards. Why did we lose money? Why did we make too much money? But again, it was a reflection in terms of performance, and those systems are there. And in today's environment, there are systems that's just going to punch that out for you and guide you in terms of your business and making a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. No, we tend to think you focus on one thing and you forget about the other. So you're thinking of, oh, yes, I have to install a system, or I have to deliver on goods, but you forget that there's a whole other process and a system and people in place. So it is like baking a cake. You can't just have the flour. That's not a cake, or the eggs. That's just not going to make the cake. You have to put it all together, and it has to blend well together, and you have to put it in the right order. And you have to understand if you use an egg that's too small, it's not going to give you the yield or the outcome that you want. You want a big enough egg. Okay, I'm talking about baking cake because it's something I also enjoy doing. But
I think it's like that. There's a system and there's a procedure in terms of to follow. And when you pick it up, you look at the box and that's the outcome. This great looking cake that's on the box. But the key to that is following the system that they have in terms of adding the right mix and doing that. So if we apply that to our business, in terms of, what do we want? Because we know what the outcome is. Half the time, if you take that box away and throw away the instructions, it's all going to fall down. So those instructions are key to the outcome. And I think that's what we sometimes lack in terms of, do we actually understand the process within our business to be able to talk to our staff and understand, that they all understand that we're all on the same page. We all want to be busy. We all want to make, more money. We want to be the best in the world. But, we can only achieve that if we work together as a team. And I think, Ludwig's put a comment up here. I believe that delivering good service to customers, then I don't have to compete with clients. And it's the same principle. If you've got a system that works, and to me, being honest and transparent with clients in terms of, if you can't get there, under promise and over deliver. If you can't get there, be honest and tell them you can't get there. But don't put pressure on yourself in order to provide the service at 2:00 when you know that you're not going to get there. And what you've then done is put pressure on yourself, because that client's now sitting there at 12:10, phoning you every 5 minutes. You're bloody useless, whatever the case may be. But had you just been honest and upfront and said, look, we can't get there, but we can provide the service call the next day. But if you imagine the staff member who's now got to get to that site, and that service call being started on a negative in terms of, you should have been here at this time, look at it, you've wasted. That is really a challenge in terms of, all you want to do is get in and get out, and you're not providing that service to detail.
Exactly.
And it's just about working collectively, working smart, and just delivering the best that we can and learn from every single situation that we have.
Exactly. It's that lead and lag measures that we spoke about in the past as well. So you can keep on looking at what happened, and but it's only going to change if you put a change in place. If you go back and find out what went wrong and how can we fix it so that it doesn't happen again, and then put that lead measure in place. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, we were down the South Coast last week, Thursday. We had an IOPSA meeting down in Port Shepstone. And again, we had the installers training where we're taking individuals that are actually doing, the installation of geysers and doing the work. And it was really good to see companies taking teams off the road. And I get it, it costs money. If your teams are not running, then you're not making money. But the foresight of the employer to actually send, and I think it was about 6 or 7 staff members. But, the feedback coming after that meeting was that he had invested in those staff. Yes, he's lost, a couple of rand and a couple of service calls now, but they are better equipped in terms of delivering tomorrow. And it's that type of mindset that's going to start separating businesses, from those that are going to perform and grow as to those that just keep it all closed, don't want to invest in people. And I think that's one of the key things that we need to look at is investing. And these books that you talk about and what others talk about it is we can learn so much from nature. We can learn so much from anything in life and apply it to our business.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true, Steve.
We could go on for another hour, Karim, but
Yeah, sure.
I think Linda's going to make some tea if there's no other questions.
No other questions from my side. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much, Linda. Linda, anything from your side before we end off the session?
No, all good. If anyone would like to contact me, you're welcome. Please WhatsApp me or send me an email if you'd like to discuss this matter further, or if you have any other questions that you think of over the course of the day or the week.
Thank you very much. Steve, any ending remarks from your side?
Yeah, I just want to thank Linda again, in terms of the talks and what we have. I think, for me, it's just a bit of a boost for the Monday. And to all of those that attend these morning sessions, please, ladies and gents, let's get those questions going. Let's get that conversation going, and have a wonderful week. Stay safe, and we'll chat again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your week.